Start. Let industries concentrate on getting the maximum out of their plants and machinery. Let labor lend their helping hand to the industrialists to exploit their resources to the maximum national advantage. It will be government's duty to ensure that the decks are cleared for action and there are no impediments, no bottlenecks, and no red tape. The wheels must move with clockwise precision and perfect smoothness, and there must be no mutual fault finding. The tradesmen have also to do their part. It is their duty to ensure that the produced articles reach the consumer with the minimum of difficulty and minimum of extra cost. None wishes to deprive them of their due, but it would be a national crime for anyone to take more than one's duty. On the other hand, even if one has to sacrifice something of his due for the sake of delivering the goods to the nation, that must be cheerfully faced. In such an inexorable and unrelentingly struggle for existence, selfish motives must not be allowed to rule to the exclusion of patriotic duty. Let me also make a special appeal to those who have money to spare. It is, I know, a large body of heterogeneous elements. We are not spendthrifts as a nation. Saving is our national instinct, whether we are agriculturists, laborers, businessmen, lawyers, civil servants, or traders. They must all save every pie they can and place their savings at the disposal of government for utilization in national building enterprises. We had a plethora of development schemes in the hope of a large balances being available for expenditure. Now, when we took stock of our position, we found that if we were to live within our means, we had drastically to cut our development program. It is obvious that we cannot keep this program in suspense for very long within doing grave damage to our national economy. These programs are our only hope if we have to feed not only the present but the increasing population of our country. They afford the only chance of increasing industrialization. Without this, it will not be possible for us either to maintain or to improve upon our present standard of living. We must therefore restore our economy to a position in which we can implement these programs to the best of our capacity and in an efficient and business-like manner for the benefit of people. In my speech, On Saturday, I have already indicated why and how the investor should place confidence in us. I stated that a point had been reached when nobody who can save or has saved can afford to withhold investing it in a profitable undertaking without incurring the odium of having failed the country in its hour of crisis. Indeed, it would be as wrong for anyone not to invest savings as it would be in times of war for anyone to shirk the obligation of compulsory national service. This brings me to commend to you the scheme which we have announced, a voluntary cuts in higher salaries and compulsory savings for government servants have in this matter given a lead to business and professions which the latter would do well to follow. I am separately making an appeal to provincial government to evolve similar schemes for their own employees. We hope shortly to supplement our own scheme by a similar scheme for government servants drawing rupees 250 and below. When that scheme is announced, I am sure provinces will follow suit. I would now appeal to business houses, commercial establishments, and men engaged in different professions and other institutions employing any substantial staff to adopt our scheme to the conditions of their own organization and to implement it cheerfully and in a spirit of self-sacrifice for the country's needs. All these contributions would, while assuring to the contributors some saving for future needs against government, considerably in strengthening its ways and means position, and would enable it to finance the many schemes of development which, on account of the necessity for imposing rigid economy, have had to be suspended or drastically curtailed. Spend less, save more, and invest as much as possible should henceforward be the motto of every citizen in the country, and all of you must see that it becomes the guiding principle of your life. You can select for yourself any suitable means of investment which are open to you, but only make sure that all the money that you save is spent for a national cause. I shall now say a word to those government servants to whom has fallen and will continue to fall the implementation of the many measures of control and of regimentation of everyday affairs of the citizen which we have to enforce. It is a great responsibility. The powers which wield, if rightly used, and can bring the nation heavy dividends, but the same, if abused, can bring not only harm but dispute. They have the reputation of many citizens in their hands. They will very often find that a kind of word or sympathetic gesture